Evening guys, back from the coast, and it was a great trip away. We went to the beach and got knees deep in the water, and Canberra is fairly cold, so I don't know if I've grown accustomed to the weather or not, but I actually felt like the water wasn't very cold for midwinter down the coast at Jervis Bay, but that was really nice. But came home to a couple of deliveries today. I've got my replacement Bordisotte Negra Rimada. This is the video I put up the other day, the $200 cutting, which is now been replaced. This is the new one. I might treat it a little bit differently this time, I'm not sure. He threw in a panache cutting for free, which is great. I already have panache, but it's good to receive a couple of different varieties. Who knows if his panache is different to the panache that I already have. We'll give it a go. And I got a second cutting. I've got some Rond de Bordeaux to replace a cutting variety I don't have, called the Calderona, plus one he threw in called a Geraldton raspberry, and I didn't expect that. I do appreciate the free cuttings. And Geraldton raspberry is an interesting one because originally I was actually from WA, and there are very few towns in WA. I grew up in the Pilbara in Karratha, which is in the kind of the northern area of Western Australia. And when we used to occasionally visit Perth, it would be something like a 20 to 22 hour drive. And between Karratha and Perth, there's actually not that very much. Unless you're from WA, you probably don't know, but you can drive 22 hours and come across a town called Carnarvon, and then come across a town to Geraldton, and then you're in Perth, and that's 20 hours worth of driving, and you come across two towns. There's a lot of kind of pit stops and roadhouses and things along the way, but Carnarvon and Geraldton are all that there are between Karratha and Perth. So Geraldton raspberry, looking forward to seeing what that is. And this Rond de Bordeaux that I've had replaced here, I had to go on the forums. I mentioned in my last video that someone mentioned some big forums, Facebook forums, and someone was able to replace two Rond de Bordeaux that failed. And Rond de Bordeaux I received two cuttings for a long time ago, and for whatever reason they both failed. They're the only ones that I've had duplicate cuttings of that have failed at all, and here is one of those. This is the Rond de Bordeaux that I'd started a long time ago, and you can see that the stem of this, it is so dead that even the bark has come off. So maybe we'll do a bit of an autopsy on this right now. It's dark outside, but maybe I can do that in the tent somewhere. If only I had some room to live and breathe. I don't really, but I'll tell you what, let's just dump it into... Oof. You know your tent's full when you don't even have room to dump the old dead cuttings out onto. But let's see what I can do. Let's tip it into here and see what happened with this cutting. Did it root out at all? Was it dead from the start? I don't know. But I think that once the bark starts coming off, we can quite confidently say that the cutting is a goner. Alright, so this is she, Rond de Bordeaux, one of two that I had. Doesn't appear, having a look at this. Or maybe some roots. Oh no, that's a bug. That's not roots. Doesn't appear that roots ever formed on this cutting at all, and the stick just slowly died. It's a bit sad, but it happens sometime. I have two new ones courtesy of my new Facebook friend who has sent them across. It wasn't free, I did pay for them, but that's interesting. I hope that these next cuttings do grow, because it is a variety that I am interested in. And I'm just going to dump that outside. We don't need dead cuttings in our tent. And since receiving these and having a couple of cuttings fail in the last few weeks, I've had a few people message me on YouTube and other places with some of their own cutting methods, which differ from the way that I do my own cuttings, and it's made me start to question, maybe I should try something a little bit different. Maybe I'll try some different ways. And obviously I have my video that I just posted the other week about trying out some cutting experiments, but these ones have all been done in the way that I do all my cuttings and always have. it does make you question if some cuttings fail, does that mean that I should adjust my method? I don't know, maybe I should. And I'll tell you what, seeing as though I've got, I don't know, 40 or 50 active cuttings in this tent and my main tent, if they start failing, I will definitely adjust my method. In the meantime though, I'm going to give it just a little bit of a shot. I'm going to give a little bit more of a go. I mean, I've been growing cuttings now for years, and this is another one that I showed in my What Cuttings Failed video the other day, and you can see that similar to the Rond de Bordeaux, this is the Blue Province Radham's Pride that is also similarly failing. Let's have a look at this stick to see if that ever put on. Well, we know this put on roots at some point. I did say that it put on roots and then for whatever reason had begun to fail. I don't know why this failed. I know it looks quite wet now, but I actually watered it today. But you can see it had all of these roots on here. There's even some worms in here at the moment. But for whatever reason, this rooted out and then failed along the lines. I don't know why that was. Let's let that worm go. Gosh, he's having a bad day. But for whatever reason, this one did root out and never put out a single bud and died. A few people have kind of messaged in my videos saying that they like to see roots before they like to see leaves, and I know that I'm a bit of the opposite. I like to see leaves first because I believe that it provides the plants with energy that allows the root development to further go onwards. And I think that if we have roots first, just like that cutting, sometimes what happens is the plant runs out of energy developing all these roots and can no longer put on leaves to supply itself in the future. I don't know if that's true or not. All I know is that I have a lot of these kind of cuttings going right now that may or may not get through. I really hope that they do. And if they all tend to fail, or if I have a much larger failure rate than I'm used to, then I will definitely try a new cutting style. Maybe I'll do something to try and work out a way to get the root development going before the plant development. But like these cuttings, for instance, that I put on in our old videos, I always did these exactly the same that I do. This is a Marseille Black, and you can see we have beautiful leaves on this plant. We don't have roots coming out the bottom yet, but I think we can pretty much say this is a very well established cutting. We have this fig here, it's called a sang. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly, but it's a sang or sangue or however I pronounce that. It means blood. It's a blood red fig. This is doing really, really well. It's leafed out, no problem at all. It's the way that I've always done my figs. This is one of the ones that we did earlier in the year. This is the Flanders fig, and we've got big, healthy, dark leaves. And from that original set of cuttings that I'd done earlier in the year, I mean, they've all rooted out really, really well. So I am definitely open to trying out new methods of producing fig cuttings, but when I have them working as they are, and I know that not all of them did work. This is the Hivernica. When they are working as well as they are, I'm just not going to mess with the good thing. Although I know that my last Bordisotte Negra Rimada seems to have failed. That is a rarity in my book, as well as the Rond de Bordeaux that failed. That is also a rarity. So I'll keep it going the way I do it for now. But if I have all of these, for instance, if I don't have a large percentage succeed, I will think about trying out some new methods. And in the meantime, what I'll do, this is a Purple Atom cutting like the one that failed. In the meantime, I will experiment a little bit more. I'll put some more side-by-side cuttings. Maybe we'll try some bottom heat versus no bottom heat. We'll try some wrapping the top of the stem with cling wrap or other methods, and we'll see if it makes a difference. But so back in the tent anyway, this is another cutting that I took, and it looks really healthy, really happy. Anyway guys, I guess I've just prattled on a bit. It's because I've been away for a few days. I'm kind of just discovering how the tent's going at the same time as putting this video on, which is probably why it's a little bit more rambly than usual. but I'll pop those new cuttings I got up tonight tomorrow, just because I've run out of pots. And that's one of the things, one of the maybe the unspoken things of collecting plants the way I do, is you're always running out of pots or soils or labels, or running out of something and having to run down to Bunnings to get it kind of done, to get all those bits and pieces together. So I'll maybe take a photo or two. I won't make another video once I put it up, but we'll see how they're going in a few weeks. And in the meantime, good to be back in Canberra. I had a great time down the coast, and I guess I'll see you all in the next one. Catch you later.